Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another video. And I've got another book review for you today. Have you ever watched a single family's choices echo across four generations, from a windswept Korean fishing village in 1910 to Osaka's back alley slums, clandestine pachinko parlors, and Tokyo finance? Pachinko by Jin Lee turns colonialism, war, migration, discrimination, love, and raw survival into one sweeping, intimate saga, an epic that never forgets the beating hearts inside history. So, yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to Seoul Book Club, where I mostly review Korean literature in translation. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and please stay for more reviews of Korean literature and occasionally other things. And yeah, so today I'm reviewing Pachinko, published in 2017 by Korean American novelist Min Jin Lee. Her debut novel was called Free Food for Millionaires. And it was published in 2007. I'm going to review that book in a day or two, I think. It's quite an interesting novel, too. But she was born in Seoul and she emigrated to the United States in 1976 at the age of 7. And she grew up in Queens in New York. She worked as a corporate lawyer in New York before becoming a novelist. And she later lived in Japan from about 2007 to 2011 to research this novel, to research Pachinko. So, what is Pachinko about? What type of novel are we dealing with here? So, Pachinko is a sprawling historical epic and a multi-generational family saga with an expansive cast of characters, and it's set against the backdrop of Japan's colonization of Korea, the impact of World War II on Korea and Japan, and then finally post-war Japan. So the narrative starts in 1910. This is the year that Japan annexes Korea. We start in a small fishing village called Yongdo on the far southern coast of the Korean peninsula. And it's here that 27-year-old Huni, the disabled but hardworking son of a fisherman, is searching for a bride. A local matchmaker arranges a match with a 15-year-old girl called Yangjin from a poor family in a nearby village. The couple meet on their wedding day and set about starting a family. After their first 3 babies die all before their first birthdays, Yangjin gives birth to a girl they call Sunja. Huni later dies of tuberculosis 13 years later, leaving Sunja and Yangjin to run a boarding house for fishermen by themselves. So the novel does start in Korea, but it takes place mostly in Japan. So what is it that makes Sunja leave Korea, leave her little fishing village for life in Japan? So Sunja subsequently meets and falls in love with a married Japanese gangster and businessman called Ko Han-soo, who gets her pregnant. To hide Sunja's shame, a kindly young local pastor called Isaac agrees to marry her and act as her child's father. Together, the pastor and Sunja move to Japan to start a new life. From here, the story follows Sunja and her descendants as they struggle to survive in Japan as members of an oppressed class. The novel explores the shame and the guilt that Sunja and her children feel as outsiders with divided identities and loyalties. So, how does the novel describe the life of Koreans living in Japan at the time? So, there's a lot of great historical research and background in this novel. And I think she's done extensive on the ground research, and this underpins the story here, and especially the depictions of the ethnic Korean community. Which at the time was concentrated in Osaka, and they were referred to as Zainichi. And so these ethnic Koreans in Japan, they face restrictions. So they're barred from buying property. They often live in slums. They're disenfranchised. They have to carry alien cards that must be renewed every 3 years. and they're confined or restricted to a sort of limited range of jobs and to employment opportunities. And so the novel spans 4 generations. And so we see not only Sunja's life, but we also see her children and her grandchildren. And we see their lives change over time against this sort of backdrop of the history of the period. So Sunja begins in poverty. She's struggling simply to get by. And she has 2 sons. Okay, her sons, as they grow up, they diverge in personality and behavior. So Noah is studious and intellectual, while Mozazu is kind of a more of a sort of a grafter, a practical sort of focused person, and he's uninterested in formal education, whereas Noah is more of an intellectual and academic type. However, they both do eventually, through different methods and strategies, attain a kind of middle class status. And this path to middle class status runs through pachinko parlors. So, what are these pachinko parlors and why are they so important? Why did Min Jin Lee decide to name her novel after this game? So, pachinko is essentially a pinball like gambling machine. If you've played the sort of old pinball machines, which you used to get in arcades, probably still do for all I know. And pachinko was wildly popular in Japan, at least according to the novel. And it was one, and running these sort of pachinko parlors, because it was sort of regarded as kind of a shady kind of business to be operating in, this was one of the few viable sort of career paths or business opportunities that was open to Koreans living in Japan. It was considered, it wasn't a respectable type of employment, but it was a possibility, an avenue to generate wealth. And so the pachinko becomes a metaphor, a layered metaphor for the immigrant experience. It involves chance and fate and randomness and forces outside personal control. And Mozazu, one of the sons, eventually he builds a very successful pachinko empire. And then in the final section of the novel, the story moves to Tokyo and the world of corporate finance. So how do we end up in the corporate finance world, the rarefied corporate finance world? So the novel starts in this poor fishing village, and and later we'll see people in this family participating in large investment enterprises. Even so, even though financially they've sort of climbed the ladder, the sort of discrimination against them persists, and the past remains present in their lives in a variety of ways. So the younger characters' attitudes towards Koreanness and Japan evolve and shift and change. Romances arise, which complicate this idea of what is Korean, what is Japanese, what is Koreanness, and so on. But the young women in the family, they still face the most significant struggles. Sort of struggles with the structure of the society at the time. And so there's a lot of themes in this novel, right? So it's a rich tapestry of all sorts of things. Really, a wonderful, sort of wonderfully satisfying and rich novel. At least I thought so. But of course, we have the sort of thematic concerns foreground: family, identity, the idea of home. There's lots of ruminations on war and race and class and love and loss. Really, a rich tapestry of one of the fundamental human experiences. And if you're open to that type of novel, it can be deeply satisfying. So anyway, I think if this sounds appealing to you, if you appreciate richly drawn characters and beautiful prose, and you're open to a rich and fascinating immigrant story, one that's mostly anchored by female resilience, then it's absolutely a novel that's worth picking up. There have been some criticisms of this novel. Some people have more complicated reactions about the way it deals with Korean identity, Japanese identity, and so on. But nevertheless, I think it's a rich and extremely enjoyable sort of literary novel, sort of literary crowd pleaser. And it's epic in scope, but just maintains the sort of intimate feeling in the detail of the characters' lives. I thought the stories are very fully realized. The way it it portrays the immigrant experience is very compelling, and also just a hymn or a celebration of motherhood and female strength. The female characters are fantastic, and so yeah, it's a sweeping history, also a domestic narrative, very emotionally resonant, and the way the generational leaps are just very effective. Like I really thought this is a very enjoyable novel. So anyway, if this sounds like your kind of thing, then I highly recommend it. I'd love to know what you think about it. Have you read this novel already? Have you read Min Jin Ee's debut novel? And please let me know what you thought of Pachinko. Maybe you were disappointed in Pachinko. And anyway, thanks for watching. And as always, just keep reading, and I'll see you back here in the next review. And there's 2 people watching today. Hello to the 2 people watching. How are you? Who are you? How do I see your name again? Wait a minute. Can I see your name? I can't see your name. I can't see who's watching. Okay. Oh well. Oh, you're gone now. Oh dear. Okay. Okay. Anyway, thank you for watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.